Welcome to another episode of Around the Block with Circular. This is a special one because it kind of happened out of nowhere. Jim Keyes showed up in the studio and we thought we'd talk to him because he's done some interesting things. One of those interesting things is write a book, Education is Freedom. I'm not so interested about that. I'm more interested about your being involved with Snoop Dogg, Buzz Aldrin, and Mr. Beast. I mean, tell us about how these connections happened and what does it mean to your next chapter in your life?
Yeah, well, it's the power of technology. I literally went from a few friends and family on a couple of social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, to hiring a 23-year-old. That was my secret sauce.
Yeah.
And she helped me to build a following for the launch of the book. And I had all kinds of fantastic response from it. Now, first of all, Buzz Aldrin goes way back.
Yeah.
He wrote an endorsement, as did Charlie Duke and other Apollo astronauts. I've been blessed with some great friendships over the years, and being friends with those guys it's a whole different story. We could go on a whole podcast with that. Yeah. But I had inbound calls from Snoop's son, Cordell, for example, after seeing the book online.
Another 20-something.
Yeah.
That was kind of in the mix of what social is.
Exactly. And to his credit, he reached out to look for some advice on a business opportunity. Yeah. In the process of that, a few weeks after meeting him and working with him a little bit, I get a photo of his dad reading my book. Now, when I speak to students, if I put that image on stage and
it changes the vibe.
Walk on stage to drop it like it's hot, I mean, I get an entirely different reception from the students.
You are from Worcester. You have that edge.
I got a little, a little Worcester will come out in me every once in a while too. But.
So we are talking about the launch of a book, Education is Freedom.
Yes.
And yes, it's fun to talk about how media is at your service now. You've been around. You have used many tools and technology.
Over the
Blockbuster,
years.
I mean, come on. We can talk for hours about that. 7-Eleven. I mean, it is a technological solution to supply chain and everything.
Absolutely.
So all of a sudden now you have another agenda, right? You want to use technology to drive education. Tell us a little about what that means.
I do. I started on this mission actually when I was still at 7-Eleven. We had 400, 500,000 employees, direct employees at 7-Eleven. And then we had, when you added in franchisees and their employees and then the international operations, we had as many as 1 million people over my career that were that I was ultimately responsible for what they were doing, what they were working on. I recognized 20 years ago we had a problem, especially in this country, with hiring an educated workforce.
Oh.
So think about it. Step back from this and put this in context. Corporate America, or the corporate world, is the demand for educated workers. We have a supply and demand crisis. Nobody's talking about it.
Goes back to the car manufacturers.
Exactly.
Getting workers who understood.
Exactly. And in fact, ironically, that you should bring that up because the origin of our public school system as we know it today, to a large extent, was built by the industrialists because they said, we need workers. Yeah. And so if you think about the standardization, the bell curve, it was almost like Henry Ford stamping out Model Ts. The standardization was essential.
That's interesting.
To mass produce. So we mass produce an educated workforce. And we've been doing it for 100 years. With technology, we can change that. We can customize. We can deliver content in a way that children respond to it more effectively. We can use AI.
By acknowledging that.
Yeah, we can use machine learning to enhance human learning at an exponential rate. Like we've never done throughout history. So what I'm trying to champion through this book is...
I'll hold it up again.
Yeah, please. is, number one, the urgency of the situation. When as many as 50% of the 8th graders in this country are functionally illiterate, that's a crisis.
Yeah, that is.
It's an absolute crisis. It's a moral dilemma. It is an economic dilemma. Because it's going to affect our ability to compete on the global
Who's going to
stage.
control the AI robots?
Exactly. So we have to do something about it. And the irony is that we've somewhat politicized education over the last few years.
Somewhat?
We're fighting, a lot. I mean, it's become the next immigration where in some cases it's easier to fight over it than to solve it. So we've got all of these issues, but no one is creating the solution.
Yeah.
What would Rockefeller do today?
Well, it's easy to complain.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's much easier to complain, so it's very easy to tear things down. What are we going to build? And that's what I'm proposing. I'm actually working with the current administration, or trying to work with the current administration. They're a little bit busy right now. But I'm trying to present, think about it this way, a 1962 John F. Kennedy moment. In 1962, I was just a kid. He said, we're going to put a man on the moon in this decade. He was at Rice University.
Talk about a rally cry.
Yeah, a rally cry. We're going to put a man on the moon in this decade, not because it's easy, because it's hard. I want our current rally cry to be, we are going to transform education in this country as an example for the entire world. And we're going to use technology. We have the best technologists in the world sitting right here in our country.
And on this panel.
And on this panel. We're going to harness the power of technology, transform the way we teach and learn. We're going to do it in this decade, not because it's easy, but because it's hard.
Yeah, and there's lots of ethical reasons. There's lots of other reasons.
And because it's worth doing it.
Well,
Because
there you
it's
go.
worth it.
That's exactly right.
It's essential
Yeah.
for the future of
It sounds a lot.
democracy.
It sounds. I'm sorry. Future of democracy. I just don't want to lose that line because that's really what we're talking about here.
Go back to Jefferson.
Yeah.
An educated populace is the foundation of a working democracy.
Yeah.
The good part is that technology allows you not to rely on the trust, on the brand, but to rely on the process and the fact that now you can verify, you can score, you can grade better, you can do a lot of things that before was very hard to do.
Exactly. Gianluca, you're an expert on things like blockchain. Just take that one piece of technology and the opportunity to use a blockchain foundation. And basically, stepping back for a second, what I'm recommending is to build the Internet of EdTech, to take all of the tools that we have today, create a blockchain environment where you've got things like transcripts and grades and accountability measures, all safely secure in an environment.
personalized.
We have a first
And
example.
personalized,
We
yeah.
have a partner which is one of the biggest companies for medical training in India that is using our blockchain to certify the educational credits.
Exactly. So a student studying anywhere in the world, their transcripts can follow them, whether they move cross town,
Yep.
school to school.
That's
or
a huge simplification.
huge simplification. And I'll give you another one. Having run two Fortune 500 companies, I would love to be able to have access to student information, not private information, but access to student information that allows me to reach out and offer internships, scholarships,
And matchmaking.
jobs, yeah, in a safe way for the student and for the employer.
I have 15 years of offering internships in my lab at Harvard.
But blockchain is an enabler of that.
The problem is always
security.
verifying titles, transcripts,
Exactly, security.
Yeah, it's always a risk factor and takes months.
Absolutely. But all of this is possible with the power of technology. And you know what I'm bringing to I'm only bringing one thing. I am not a technologist, but I'm bringing the experience of having used technology to transform 7-Eleven, to transform Blockbuster. Whole different story. But we did use technology to be able to have digital streaming. To transform the American Red Cross, I participated in a dramatic transformation that actually allowed a centralized use of technology that gave a very decentralized operation far greater ability to be nimble and responsive in natural disasters.
So as we were talking about, we need this kind of leadership of people like you and Gianluca who have been around, knows where the bodies are buried, understands that there's sacred cows and things that people understand, right? How are you dealing with that objection? This is not how we do it here. This is someone. What pennies are you taking off the table? I mean, how are you positioning this? Because I think the answer might be decentralization because there's no one owner and all that stuff. How are you dealing with that pushback?
And you're right, the pushback is huge. I'm hearing all of the excuses. You can't do it. The labor unions will never allow you to do it. No, we're going to actually make their lives easier.
And
we're going to give them better tools.
Yes.
You can't take education out of the classroom. No, we're going to light up the classroom, make the classroom more interesting, more engaging, and then give students the ability to do things on their own. You can't have a core curriculum because you're going to, risk indoctrinating kids. Yeah, but you have to have some foundation. I mean, there are
You
basic,
can agree on some stuff.
fundamental reading skills, fundamental math, fundamental science. There is a basic level of foundational knowledge that we can build without risking any of this stuff. So the net of this is that technology gave us the power at 7-Eleven and all these different organizations to be both decentralized, more effective on a local level, because you now have tools, far better tools, and centralization for accountability, measurement.
The
it's
advantage
both.
is
That's
actually this.
interesting,
So the current administration wants three things, and there are three things that, for example, decentralization and blockchains offer, which is possibility to make things more efficient and less expensive. So
Yes.
you eliminate waste. You can secure the different activities that happen, and because they are immutable, they create accountability.
Yes.
So you kill three birds with one stone.
Absolutely. I may take you with me to the meetings because no, you're absolutely right. And the root of a lot of this is fear. If you think about it, everybody is afraid of change. Everybody's afraid of somebody's going to take authority or do something bad. But the tools are here. They exist today.
Tommy, you can literally now collect it if you set up the right environment. You can collect the data in real time from education.
Absolutely.
And reuse that data to train better AI that improves over time every year. And now you get a better and better and more effective instruments that get into the classroom on certified data. So not data that can be invented or can be synthesized, but on real life data.
Exactly. Let me take that to another level. We still use blackboards in schools or whiteboards now. Imagine lighting up every classroom with LED screens that allow you to bring virtual reality into the classroom, to take a child right into the operating room at Mass General to be able to see a surgery in progress.
And if it's a 5-year-old, you might describe it differently than a 15, than a
absolutely.
25, than
Absolutely.
a 55.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point about what the value of this anonymous privacy, where little Jimmy or Jenny doesn't understand something at whatever age,
Right.
and they can be like, hey, AI agent, what does this mean?
Right.
It really changes this equalization that we're talking about.
Yeah, but you also have the ability to take that 5-year-old, and if they really are interested in a topic, just like in a video game, leveling up, they can level up from 5-year-old reading skills to 10-year-old reading skills, because they are engaged and the system is delivering content that allows them to keep learning faster and faster.
Well, it's already visible. Like I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 15-year-old. It's unbelievable. You see the last one that it's burning the other ones because
Smarter than
it
all of them.
goes very fast. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're known as the scaling guy, right? I mean, that's kind of the vibe around you.
The power of scale. Yeah.
Okay, so how can you, because this is not a private, this is the world, right?
Right.
We're talking about democracy and humanity, right? Give us a little bit of a roadmap of those steps that you think need to be put in place. I mean, we have a community here that's
Sure.
wanting to participate. Let's talk about your plan.
Yeah. Step one is I need leadership. This opportunity needs leadership, both governmental and business. And if you think about through history, whenever government, science, and business come together on anything, miracles happen. The Apollo program, you could look at the creation of the atomic bomb in World War II. Yeah. That could have taken the 30 years, but science, business, government all came together and said, let's prioritize this. And this is such an urgency that I think that's step one, leadership, bring science, business, and government together to work on this project. Number two then is providing the equipment, the tools to be able to light up every classroom. So that is, we already have advanced technology in the classroom because of the pandemic by probably 20 years. We've lit up entire cities with Wi-Fi that didn't have it prior. We've provided technology, laptops to students. Question is now, can we take it to that next level? What is the best device to teach reading, fundamental reading skills. What's the best device to bring technology into the classroom through LED screens, as an example? What would that cost? So to be able to provide the basic infrastructure. Third step is to build that open source platform, if you will. So I've been affectionately calling this the Internet of EdTech. But think of it as a walled in environment where you can provide any kid, any device, and say, on this device, have at it. In this universe, everything is safe.
It's a walled garden.
It's a walled garden. And there's all of the best education technology tools available, from Khan Academy to LinkedIn Learning. We have access to fun things like TikTok, but education content. You've heard about the Chinese version of TikTok is all we can do this. It's just curated TikTok content. So they can have all of their favorite tools in this safe environment where you could comfortably imagine a world where you say, why aren't you on your device?
Come on, we're here.
On, yeah.
So I want to go back and challenge you a little bit with how does that match a private network, and your answer about how does that relate to the public networks? How can you right now inform him about the private network he's asking for, this walled garden, right, where there's things in control, but also allow certain safety in a more public?
Well, that's exactly how we do with governments. So with jurisdictional networks, which is where our blockchain sits for healthcare, it's exactly the same paradigm that can be used for education. In that case, mostly because you have miners that access the data, and you want to make sure that the data that you are capturing is the real data you are capturing. Nobody is creating that data to counterfeit the system, to fool the system, because that's one of the things you have to make sure is not happening. And that's pretty much stuff we already have.
Okay, excellent. So those tools that you said, but you said the tools were like 3 and 4. I'd like to change the order of your plan, if we can, because that's what we're here for. First, you need your 23-year-old.
Yeah.
That is either, I don't care the age, it's that mindset.
It's that mindset.
Whoever that is,
right?
Hang around them,
yes.
right? There's groups like Cubic Labs in Quincy that have these young-minded people who are trying hang out with them, right? So that's number one. Number two is a proof project, right? Proof of concept. We need to discuss where we can actually go into a classroom somewhere or wherever you have connections. It could be an MIT because we're doing a lot more with them, where we can actually show that this is safe and it works. And look, the scores went up or the happiness level went up. So I think that's number two, because then you get the leaders to say, wait a second, I can have better employees and better families. All right, so if that's the plan, you're 23-year-old, you're proof, right? And we have the tools to do that. Then you get the leaders because they'll pay attention, right? I think that's my take on this whole thing, and I wanted to know if that makes sense. To put the tools in earlier for proof.
Let me because of the urgency of this, I think we can take step 1 and step 2 and say it's done. Okay, good. Well, here's why. There's a school. I'll give you one example of thousands of examples. There's a school in Austin, Texas, and an enterprising mom, I think, put this program together, brought technologists together, and created a school called Alpha School, where they brought technology to the table. And they give they're using AI to truly transform the way those kids are being delivered content. Now, they haven't taken the teacher out of the mix at all. The teacher is there as a guide, as a curator, as a coach. They then go from intense computer training for a couple hours a day into the social skills, where they're now working on robotics and other things.
Physical.
Requiring collaboration, because you don't want the kid just working independently on a computer. Their scores, they've been doing this now for 8 years or something like this, and their scores are off the charts.
Wow.
So we have proven success. What we haven't done is had a concerted effort to find the best results and the best tools, bring them together, and scale.
Who's managing that particular project? Is that a local
These are
school
all
system?
independent projects,
Okay,
charter schools, private schools, some public schools are doing this. There are thousands of examples of things that are working. We just haven't scaled them. So that's my challenge, to say, we're past finding the 23-year-old. We're past proving it out. Now let's take what works.
So back to the
brand to the country.
Back to the scale guy, right? Back to the scale guy, scaling guy. So want to clarify what you now are specifically looking for. All
Yeah.
right. Is it those leaders to come on board? Do you have a onboarding process for them to learn and you know,
I've reached out to before when the transition team was still working, before the Secretary of Education was named. I reached out to the transition team to say, as soon as you have somebody, give me an audience.
Okay.
And I have reached out to Linda McMahon, our Secretary of Education. I do believe that I'll be speaking with her in the next couple of weeks. I've been working with other members that are close to the administration or the transition team. What my objective is to create, if you will, the Doge, if you will, of
Education.
Of education, yeah. Create a group of
I love this
of
name.
experts. Yeah. You know, just a group, a hardcore group that can get in and do this deep dive.
if this
into
is the
what's
plan,
working.
let's do it right.
Let's do it, and then set the goals and just execute it, and have, you know, the president step up and say, "We're going to do this because it's the right thing to do."
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm calling this because, you know, I know the administration likes big ideas, so I'm calling it the mega idea.
Oh, it's great.
It would
Make
be cool
education great again.
It would be cool if there was a program
That's great.
where
That's great.
Why not?
in parallel, it would be cool if there was a program where different schools run their own experiments, and based on their success, they expand a little, but in parallel.
Yes.
And now, at some point, one of them prevails, and the best model spreads automatically around the entire country. That will be a very sustainable approach, in my opinion.
It is. It is. Here's the challenge I'm running. I'm getting a lot of that. Why don't you just go test this and, you know, go back to Texas and test it in Texas or whatever. My analogy is it would be like trying to build the internet for a city. It's doable, but it's pretty tough to do what you want without scale, because scale is really what makes it work. So what you said, Gianluca, is exactly right. We do need to keep improving it, but I believe that there are fundamental tools, literacy tools, math tools. Khan Academy is a great resource for math, as an example. It's been around for years. That we can take these tools that exist and build this fundamental platform. Once you've got that platform in place, then start doing, okay, let's enhance it with, if you like this, you're really going to like this new tool that we've developed in
And
Kansas.
wouldn't it be better to have multiple tools, and then
Oh, of
even the
course.
tools you find the best one?
Absolutely, absolutely. What I'm suggesting, though, is given the urgency,
You gotta start with some
start
tools.
with something. Start with a foundation, and then we can keep improving on it.
So it's you're building kind of a learning method for the learning method.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
right. So if the
Yes.
where's that being designed and created? The welcome to this.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an educator, you can look at this. If you're a politician, government, private, public, where is that being? Because you need to communicate this.
Yeah.
Right. Where is that being set up? Are you doing that under?
No, today it is not. I mean, I don't. This,
Well,
this
come on.
initiative
What time
may
is
be
it?
underway.
It's-
I know.
it's-
Exactly. So I'm leading the rallying cry, if you will. I'm carrying the flag, saying, "Follow me. This can work. Let's do this. Let's put this in place." I need government support, business support, science support,
Right.
technology
Right,
support. If we assemble the right team, I believe this can be built in a matter of months, literally, because these tools are available today.
Okay. So this is not one of those advisory boards that you never hear about again, though.
I hope not.
That's it, right? So how do you? That's why it goes back
That's
to.
why it needs sponsorship.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, some of us can do this. We could do this in the private sector, but it takes years to
Why?
get this done.
Why wait?
Why wait? And that's the rallying cry. The book points to the urgency of the need. We have a supply and demand crisis in this country when it comes to the ability to hire an educated workforce, whether it's vocational, college students, et cetera. And the urgency of this need, I think, given what China and India, we've taught the rest of the world the power of education.
Yeah.
And they're going to blow right by us.
Right. They listened.
Yeah. But here's another benefit of this from a global perspective. If we build this in America, and we build this the right way, and we dramatically, and I believe it's possible, change the results of our student capabilities in this country, imagine then, as as Elon Musk builds out Starlink all over the world, we can take this same platform and offer it to other countries.
It is replicable.
It is scalable worldwide to be able to then light up remote corners of the world that would never have access to this quality of education.
So the brand is a really important element, as you're talking about with 7-Eleven, Blockbuster. You have that in your DNA. You know,
Yeah.
there's a marketing element to it. And Mega is cute but scary, but that's okay. It's
know,
good.
it's
Make
hey.
education great again. I think it's really cool. Hopefully, it becomes something of its own.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
What do you think that looks like? Is it economical? Right. You want to have just two things. You want to have students
Yes.
more successful.
Yes.
Yes, happy. Yes, smarter, and a bit. But you also want to have the economy of it sustainable.
Yeah, here's how it's economical, and this is where I have a unique advantage having had multinational company experience. I know the power of scale. There is no one private school. There are some fabulous private schools in this country. There is no one private school that could ever harness the power of technology in this way, because they couldn't afford it for one school.
Right.
It's just like no one convenience store, no mom and pop, or even a regional convenience store could compete worldwide
Yeah.
with the buying power of 7-Eleven, with the ability to manage data as 7-Eleven
Not just
does.
economies of scale, but just brand and reputation
Exactly.
and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. So as we build this, we're amortizing the cost of this technology across 55 million public school kids.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's going to be crazy expensive as it would be if one little community said, we're going to go build a world-class technology solution.
Well,
They
but there's
couldn't afford
also
it.
Yeah.
even if at the beginning, you know, the cost goes up, I think, but you know that the benefit is obvious. I think that that's acceptable. I mean, even with tariffs right now, you know, prices are going to go up. But if that is the right strategy, is a minor evil, you know, that you can live with.
For a period of time. Yep. Yeah.
Markets need to settle, and that's exactly the same for everything.
Sure.
So yesterday we were talking with Ken Mooney about Web3, and I wanted to give a quick 5-point rundown of what Web3 is, and we're
Yes.
going to talk about how it applies to this. Web3 is blockchain, AI. Actually, today, AI first, blockchain is supporting that, and Gianluca will give an overview of how blockchain supports AI and makes
Yeah.
it more valuable and accountable. But you also have IoT and machine learning, so there's sensors and your traffic. And then you have edge computing, which is kind of part of that, which allows more of the infrastructure. But you also have 5G, so you have the speed of it. So that's how I see, and I think many people see what Web3 is.
Yeah.
These are the powers, the forces that you can manipulate and you can leverage. Let's talk a little bit about how, and Gianluca, if you could kind of help me out here, how these multiple different forces can be used where blockchain is the reliable element of all of them, right?
Well, I mean, everything starts from an idea, and I think that the idea is here. Then there is the technological components, and what can you get, the best aspects of every technology that you can employ for this kind of ideas.
Yeah.
And then there is the last piece, that is the willingness from the people in charge of these to
This
make
passion,
the step.
this
You can-
hope.
Yeah.
You can only show the doorway, then they have to take the first step.
Exactly. And that's my mission, just to get people excited about what's possible.
But you have more than what's possible. You actually have a plan,
You have a plan,
because
yeah.
of the tools to actually do that. And Gianluca has spent the last 2 years of his life in his basement cranking out these tools that developers can use to actually fulfill on your dream.
Exactly.
There we have it. It's
Well, we've got
39
the
minutes in,
audience to
and
be
we've figured it
inspired.
out.
Yeah, and the audience, we have the audience to be, your audience will be inspired to help us.
And that's and you being inspired, knowing that the tools that you need to tell these people that we have a way, that is different. You
Yes.
seem very impatient with this urgency. I applaud that, right? Many people who know me know that. So if there is the tool set, then you have, let's back up about a little technology here.
Sure.
I want you to explain this, because this is a learning opportunity for all of us. AI is amazing.
Yes.
It allows for changing process of how you create things, create and curate things. The curation comes, the accuracy that comes, the ownership of those assets, right, is what blockchain can do. Then you can have an automation. There's your scalability. So process, I'm going to ask you to rephrase this for me. Process accuracy and automation allows the scalability because you have trust in this thing you're promising.
Yes.
How do I describe that?
Scalability comes from the possibility to certify things, certify the results. So you get the results and it's an objective thing, a measurable thing. It's not an idea that has to be measurable. And accountability has to be real.
Right.
Compartmentalization of the liability as well. So if there is accountability, you need to be able to cut in pieces this industry and say, when this goes wrong, who's responds for this? When this goes wrong, responds for that. Nobody likes to talk about these things, but if you set up the right infrastructure, you make everything much, much more efficient. And when something goes wrong, you don't have to go for a 360-degree search. You know exactly where you're going.
So you can iterate faster.
That's correct. You can
faster.
keep improving because it's demonstrated that the best way is an incremental improvement of systems. You know, look at SpaceX. They did what NASA didn't do in decades. Why? Because they work in an incremental system, and that's objectively working better.
It's why Amazon can get so good, because they have so much data, and now they know what's going on better than the local store.
Exactly.
'Cause that's
what we will have.
Okay,
Imagine
good,
the
good.
richness of data. That's what caused the transformation of 7-Eleven.
That's what caused
richness
the
of
transformation of the world right now, because AI is the child of the big data.
Yes, yes.
You have
it is.
AI because
Yeah.
there was finally data. And
We asked
processing
for a lot of
power.
it.
Yeah. And data without security is what causes so much fear, especially when you talk about children. But blockchain gives us that extra level of security. So it is a convergence of technology. You mentioned it. AI, blockchain, all these other relatively new tools that we didn't have in the past. You say, well, why didn't we do this 10 years ago? We probably had the ability, but we didn't have the quality of the tools we have today to make it.
So we have to evolve constantly.
Yeah.
And that keeps you young.
Yeah.
Right? Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Thank you.
So again, I'm going back to not the naysayers, but the incumbents, the people who are scared of what we're talking about here. And I have a kind of a way to describe this, that we have all been taught by our parents and our teachers and our bosses to be at the top of that triangle.
Yes.
That's where winning is. That's what we learned, and we're very comfortable with that. And now what happens with these Web3 technologies that are more distributed, that are more egalitarian, right? Circular itself is built. It's more of a circle. So how do you advise, besides using my cute little thing, CEOs of companies, the leaders you're talking about, how do you get them to accept that it's not losing, decentralization is not losing control, but it's gaining cooperation and coordination?
Here's the way I describe it. In my early days at 7-Eleven, we thought we were decentralized. We thought we were centralized. Really, all of the control was somewhere in the middle. In fact, I had an old graphic. I described it as a boa that ate a big pig or something, and it was a bottleneck in the middle, because we weren't leveraging local ability to be nimble. We weren't leveraging national scale and buying power. We were stuck somewhere in the middle. And so we weren't, as a result, competitive. Now, when we brought technology to the table, we flattened that out and actually put more authority and more capability at local levels.
Oh, good.
And more capability at centralized levels so that you could take advantage of this scale. And how that applies on the education side is we will not lose local authority over schools. We'll actually give them better tools and allow them to be more effective at local level. And then at a national level, as new tools emerge, we'll have the ability to leverage those tools across 55 million kids.
That's great.
You know, it's not that you want to have a company that is decentralized. Companies work better if they're centralized. One has to be objective. What works well as decentralization is when the company, as a centralized unit, offers to the clients transparency through a decentralized tool.
Yes, exactly.
So the decentralized tool is pretty much like a notary, okay? It's a network instead of an individual. It's someone that you cannot corrupt, you cannot pay to say the right thing or the wrong thing. So the people don't have to trust this centralized company for the brand just because they like the color of the brand. They can trust this company because this company is willing to offer them that transparency that others don't. And they can verify that ingredients in the food that they are preparing are the right one because they certify all the process of production, and you can audit that. That's what is really making the change. So the company has to stay centralized. It's fine. They've been working for centuries like this. They can keep working like that.
Yeah, we know that.
But it's the transparency that is decentralized, and that is what gives back to the customer, to the population, the trust, the control on what they're buying, what they're eating, what they're using for medications and everything else.
So I have a kind of an idea about what you've been doing and what you want to do. You've been building tools to allow decentralized science, for lack of a better specific. You're doing a lot of different things, but you've picked a critical industry that needs it, that's very important to everyone in this room and this world. Great, DeSci. Lots of issues, lots of security, lots of life and death. You now can be working with someone like this that says, listen, we're education's not life and death. I mean,
Right.
It could be. We can argue about
It
that.
can. It can.
It can be.
Yeah,
I just
can.
don't want to go there. I'm saying you now have some tools that have been proven
Yep.
in a very critical industry.
Sure.
So can you talk about what tools that you have? What are you learning by decentralized science using this? Even the AMA we just had an hour ago. What are you learning about the requirements of DeSci that he can use?
I tell you just this. I built an ecosystem, a decentralized ecosystem to offer decentralized tools, and I'm learning every time I sit at this chair or in other places with every founder, with every person I meet. There are so many things you don't think about that other people can think about. So the most important learning is that this is not a solo ride. This is a community effort. And the most important position where you want to put yourself at the beginning is to listen.
Very true.
Yeah. He tells me to shut up all the time. Great. I'm feeling, that's great. That's a great example because we do have experience that you can now turn to and say, no, we got it covered. Here's some doctors, here's some pharmacies, here's some, highly regulated areas.
Yeah.
So you can actually look them in the eye and say, no, I got that covered. Or I think that's what you want, right? So you have the
Exactly.
right partners and solutions, and there's many more that we'll talk about. I want to talk about kind of this philosophical thing that you have going on that you guys share,
Yeah.
right? Circular, the name circular has been chosen for a reason. Gianluca talks about it all the time. This egalitarian, this inclusion. He talks about the
Camelot.
the Knights of the Round Table.
Table.
I mean,
Yeah.
so let's see if we can talk a little bit about that mission that you both have.
Sure. Well, I'll share my perspective. I grew up 40 miles from here in a 3-room shack with no running water. And I never dreamed I would be a CEO of 2 Fortune 500 companies. It was so far out of my frame of reference. But my technology at the time was a set of encyclopedias my mom brought home, one edition each with a bag of groceries.
Go, Mom.
Yeah. But that was my escape into the world of an encyclopedia, one volume at a time. And you contrast that, and I think I did okay, but you contrast that with the availability today of a portal to unlimited learning.
What about your choice for where to go to school? I still remember the story. When you presented the book in Dubai.
Oh, that's right. That's where we met, in Dubai.
Okay. Of course,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. Well, which graduate school or undergraduate?
You said you had to go in one of the schools, but you picked a school where you knew we were going to have a bit of our time. I think it was in another country or was something.
Yes, I went to school. I had an opportunity to go to London to school. And I chose a place called Goldsmiths College, part of the University of London, and declined LSE, London School of Economics. I didn't know I was going to go into business. I mean, in hindsight, it would have been a far better choice.
That's great.
But what I learned, it turned out that my choice was far better because the LSE program was with all Americans. And I would have been in a class with no...
That's the story.
Yeah, with no
So it brought you
cultural-
home.
Yeah. It was just like being in my backyard. But instead, I gave myself an opportunity for full immersion in a British Hall of Residence. I became a minority. I was struggling with my cultural illiterance.
Right.
And I learned the importance of cultural literacy, ironically, from those who took me under their wing, the Pakistani and Indian friends that I had who were the minority in the UK at the time. But they taught me the need for adaptation and assimilation. And so it ended up being a great experience for me because I learned the importance of understanding other cultures. And I have a chapter now in the book called Cultural Literacy. When we were in Dubai, I mean, it was like a petri dish of
That is
cultures
Yeah.
coming together.
Yeah.
that impressed me because I was here yesterday telling a very similar story about my life, so I had to go through that. And it's not because it's easy, but because it's hard.
So what came away from that conversation, I want you to give your parallel to his story about
I
you.
come from the middle of nowhere. I had running water, but I didn't have internet and I didn't have much more around me.
He had running wine there.
South of Italy, I had a lot of running wine. But if someone would have told me one day you're going to go teach at Harvard, I would have laughed. I've been telling the same story yesterday. But I made a series of choices that, without knowing, brought me there. But everything has been tremendously hard. And when I came here, obviously I could be a professor in Italy, and I had to relearn a lot of things. From the language itself and how the world works. And I've been bringing students from my country here every year for 15 years, not because of what they would have learned at Harvard, but for what they would have learned on the street.
Yeah, cultural literacy.
Outside.
Cultural literacy, yeah.
Outside, when, in Italy, we taught the world how to be entrepreneurs in the past. Now we need to relearn back because we are losing a little bit of that. And here it's incredible. I mean, we were here yesterday sitting, and there was a candidate Nobel Prize with us. How often this happen in another place? In Cambridge, you throw a stone and ends up on the head of a PhD. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege to be here. But you have to make a lot of choices which are not meant to be made because they are a simplification, but because there's passion. They are hard. But you do because it's worth.
Yeah, that's great. One of my favorite terms that you use is relevant right now, once again, is to, you'll like this one, is to distribute opportunity. I mean, come on, right? That's literally what you're building,
that's
the tool
exactly-
set to distribute
That's exactly
opportunity.
right.
It's not controlling it. It's not the top of the pyramid, the triangle. It is the circle that gets bigger with us together.
Well, let me share with you the top of my triangle. I've created this, I call it the hierarchy of success. And the foundation is character, of course, which is important because it represents, our integrity, our humility, our gratitude is the brand we all walk around with. And that brand is important. But at the top of the pyramid, I've got change. And that's what we're talking about today. And I've coined the expression, I didn't realize this until I wrote the book. And I wrote down these words, and I stepped back and I said, my goodness, that's me. Change equals opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, the acronym happens to be CEO.
And that's a very simple why. You change and you improve and you succeed when you are uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So
Opportunity.
if you are in a
Exactly.
position of discomfort, that pushes you to a change. And when you make that change, automatically you access opportunities that before you wouldn't even see.
Exactly. And the secret weapon that you have and I have in being able to deal with change is we were forced to deal with change as kids, and it maybe it didn't feel good at the time, but it made us used to being out of our comfort zone.
Yep.
You just exercise those capabilities.
Yeah, we recognize that, being outside of our comfort zone is going to lead to opportunity. That change equals opportunity. Yeah, this is uncomfortable right now, but man, I can't wait to see what's on the other side.
Right. The opportunity is in something new because that's growth.
Exactly.
Therefore, the CEO, your advice to CEOs is change equals opportunity.
It is the fundamental role of a CEO. Think about all commerce begins and ends with something change.
I worked with Fast
You
Company
respond.
years ago about innovative CEOs and leadership, and it was very interesting because it's hard to find that psychology in it. It's not always depicted in sales and success. Patagonia, for example, the biggest company in the world, but according to many, the best. Tell me a little bit about your. I want you to talk to the CEOs that need to hear that their role is now changing. What does that mean now? Because you've been in this role many times, and here it is changing again. Describe that. What makes a good CEO, a good leader?
Trial by fire. I mean, it's.
It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. I joined 7-Eleven just prior to the Great Recession in 1987. And 7-Eleven loaded up with a whole bunch of debt, did a failed LBO, went through a bankruptcy in 1991. We came out of that bankruptcy better and stronger. They wouldn't have 85,000 stores worldwide today without having to being forced to reinvent themselves in 1991. I came through that experience better off. I ended up being the head of strategic planning. I was a kid. I was in my 30s, and I was running strategic planning for a worldwide company. And then that led to a role as CFO of a public company. And I did not have traditional accounting experience or anything. Those opportunities came because of the crisis. If I was in a wildly successful company, I would not have had the personal opportunity that I had in that situation. And so, yes, every CEO, it's not fun to be outside of your comfort zone in those times that you're tested with fire, but we all have adversity of some sort in our life. What do we learn from it? One of my favorite expressions was a Nelson Mandela quote. He said, "I never lose. I win or I learn."
I win or I learn.
Right? And if you if you learn from your bad experiences, next time you're going to do even better.
So you have urgency with education. Great.
Yeah.
Understand it. Rally cry. But you also have been forced to change because of the situation. Where is that urgency now? Let's be very blunt about where you see that urgency. What are we missing? Why do we have to move now versus let's see how it works out?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. Right now, we've got some narrative going on in this country, and I don't know if it's sort of a byproduct of the populist trend or whatever, but there's kind of an anti-intellectual thing. I grew up in a world where you wanted to go to Harvard. I would have.
It's erosion of trust. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah.
The COVID was the break point.
Right. But here's the byproduct of that negativity and narrative and fear out there that comes from a lack of trust. The result is we've got parents telling their kids, "You don't want to go to college. It's not necessary. Just go learn coding." Well, AI world,
Sorry.
That may be a 5-year time horizon that they're going to have employment. So I'm out there with the sense of urgency because I look across the world. I have the benefit of being global. I'm all over the world. We met in Dubai. I see what Dubai is doing. I see what China is doing. I see what India is doing. Just one statistic for you. The Chinese in 2012 had about 40% of their school-age population going to college. They learned a lot from us. I started doing business in China when they were still riding bicycles and wearing Mao caps. And look at them now. Yeah. They have gone since 2012 to today. They will now pass 60% of that college-age student attending college.
Wow.
We, during that same period of time, since 2012, partly because of this erosion of trust, we've gone from high 50s. We're going to fall below 40% of our population, college-age population, attending college. What does that mean? And I'm telling you as a former global CEO, for our competitiveness in this world when Chinese, Indian, Middle Eastern students are getting a better education, more robust education than our kids here.
Well, in that case, I think that a very big impact is given by financial availability. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that simply cannot afford, and that's unfortunate.
It is.
Public schools really are available, but the problem is that, culturally, people here don't value a lot public schools, and that's another problem. which I think needs to be addressed.
Take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the idea with the mega ideas to
Right.
to really have broad reach.
So here's an
access to
idea.
these
Here's an idea
tools.
for your rally cry. I personally believe that the leaders need to get hands-on with these technologies, so that it's not just a toy, it's not just the internet.
Right.
It's really changing your mindset and your capabilities. The implications and applications are really interesting, and they're exciting. So first, we get the leaders to want to learn, and we teach the leaders. But
Yeah.
then, what's the best way to learn? They become the learners. They become the teachers.
Sure.
Right? So the best way to learn this stuff is to teach it. So if your rally cry is get involved, and here are the mechanisms and the onboarding, and put your logo here, and get behind it.
Sure.
And here's your talking points for your next presentation slide deck, which you'll be delivering to them so they know what they're talking about. Get hands-on with this and make them teach their employees, their employees' children. Is that somehow? This is an idea, but is that somehow kind of a methodology to get people to buy in and then get better at it because they become teachers?
It's possible. That process would take a while.
Yeah.
But you're onto something. I think a big part of the obstacle here is that it's no different than the obstacle I had when I tried to bring technology into 7-Eleven. Most of the senior management at the time were older than I was, and they're like,
We got to figure it out, kid.
Can you imagine?
we don't need this stuff. I mean, I had a guy one time slam his fist on the table over Island card readers, the convenience of over my dead body, we got to make those customers come in the store. It was just,
I love it.
It was just a resistance
Yeah.
to technology,
Yeah.
mostly out of fear and the lack of familiarity. So yes, we have to help business leaders understand the power of this technology in helping them with their pipeline of future employees. That was my first initiative, and it's what motivated me at 7-Eleven to build my own pipeline of employees by going into the school system. And so that's a very important step in the process.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That onboarding.
Awareness. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of bases here. I think this is should become a regular update. How are you doing? Come back and let's talk about some projects and
Oh, yeah.
applications for what you're doing. Does either one of you have any things to say to our community? Right, we have a lot of technologists, a lot of different level, financial people, software developers.
A lot of kids,
A lot of kids, right?
a lot
Yeah.
of students.
Yeah.
Very international, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a message for them so we can echo in their head as you're going along?
Well, yeah. Let me plant a couple of ideas, and here's one I'm going to give free. Somebody can make a lot of money on this.
This is all free, by the way. You're not getting paid a penny for this, just so you know.
That's right, exactly. But with the power of technology, and this is the leap. We are uniquely situated to be older people, and I'm a little older than you, but we're.
I have more white hair than you.
That's true. Well, I got a little coming. But we have the unique ability to see what's possible with technology, and not a lot of people can do that. So here's what's possible. You referenced the cost of education. True, it's an obstacle. But if you think about kids and their enjoyment of video games, why do they like video games? Eye-popping graphics, yeah, that's fun. Interactive, they're engaging. But they get incentives.
Yeah.
And they get hooked on the badges.
Challenges.
Yeah, they want to level up. They get hooked on the badges and the prizes. They win a hat for their avatar. With this new environment, we could create a $529 tax-free savings account for a kid when they're in the 5th grade or younger. And every time they go online, every time they pass an exam in Khan Academy or in Google Classroom, they get 20 cents.
Score for your schooling.
Right. And because of the security of the blockchain protected environment, Deloitte can advertise and say, you got that 20 cents from Deloitte because you could be a future accountant.
You're a leader. You can do this. You're numbers. You can do this.
Exactly.
This
So
matchmaking thing.
We can
Yeah.
literally, we can build a scholarship reserve to help make college affordable for every kid, not just wealthy people. And these are tools that are readily available today to turn scholarships from being granted at the end. I just did a deal, you mentioned Mr. Beast. I did a fabulous deal with him He held up my book, and we gave scholarships, $10,000 scholarships to kids all over
Nice.
the world. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. But instead of $10,000, I would have rather broken that $10,000 into 20-cent increments and made it an incentive
For 100,000 more.
for 100,000 more, and had young people want to be on their in their learning to earn.
Yeah, learn to
Who
earn.
knows? Maybe.
Micro scholarships.
Did you ever heard about the tokenization of careers?
Well,
So
yeah.
there are people that are thinking about, okay, I take an assessment. If you think that I am a valid individual, I let you participate to my education, and I give you a revenue share about whatever I'm gonna make in my life, to become like a company. No, it sounds kind of a weird thing, but when you start seeing that a lot of people can't afford education, it's everything can be considered. But another thing, I studied in Italy. I didn't study in US. I've been teaching at Harvard, but I studied in a public school in Italy. Public schools are still schools, so we have to change a little bit the idea that if you go to a public school, you're not going to have a career, you're not going to be able to do things, because I tell you guys, 80% it's who you are. Mm-hmm. The school is only certifying, it's only certifying what you studied. It doesn't define who you are as a professional.
Exactly.
That is something that I keep repeating to the students, to all the people I talk to. School is important because it gives you the basis and gives you the method. But after that, it's the individual. Mm-hmm. You ever heard like book smart or smart, talented? That's exactly the difference. You can be going to the best school in the world and have the best grades in the world, but then if it's not you really putting your heart, your passion, your interest, you're not going anywhere.
And if you have tools to express that and be accountable for that, but also get the credit for that, and now I think we're onto something. I mean, it's what's that? You get us amped up, AMP, giving us autonomy, mastery, and purpose. It's one of my favorite acronyms because it actually gets inside your heart and your soul.
So take this to that ultimate level of scale. If we do this right, we can put better schools, better tools in our public school system than any private school could ever afford.
Right. Yeah. And the scale, but
Wouldn't it be a great world where a mom says, I want to send my kid to this private school, but I'm going to spend $40,000 to send them there, and the public school, they're going to get a better education because they've got better tools than my private school.
That's a great,
Wouldn't that be an amazing world
for everybody?
Yeah, make the public school more competitive. I think that's something definitely this administration should try to do.
Exactly.
You want to make it more efficient, but make it also more valuable, because these are resources that we are still paying on taxpayers' dollars.
Exactly.
So let's make them more valuable, even the perception of the value, because a lot of kids think, I went to public school, so I'm never going to get a good job. I went to public school and I got a great job. It's not that. It's who you are.
Yeah. It's who you are. And another element that you experienced and I experienced is that in a public school, you get cultural literacy because you're immersed in...
You got to survive sometimes.
You got to survive, yeah, exactly. You learn to be tough, right? Because
it's that cultural.
It is. It's not a homogeneous environment.
Discomfort pushes you forward.
Exactly. Cultural literacy, it sounds like such a clinical term. It's just be in it, experience it. You can participate. So we're going to tighten this up now. We're going to close this up.
This is fun.
We have now a new book club that we're going to be all reading this book. It is called Education is Freedom. The Future is in Your Hands, and it obviously is. James Keyes, I call him Jim Keyes. This is on our book reading list. Get it? We're going to be talking about this in AMAs. Literally, it's now a textbook for us.
We're going to publish a review of the book on our blog with a link to where to find it. So,
can I give you one last thing?
Yeah, please.
To leave everybody with.
And this is the camera over here if you're talking to people.
That's my
yes.
camera. Yeah. Hi, camera. You referenced knowing some astronauts, Buzz Aldrin, Charlie Duke. I've had the blessing of being Bernard Harris. I mean, all of these shuttle pilots, space station visitors, Apollo astronauts. I've just really been blessed with knowing them. I've been an aviator my whole life, so that's kind of in that community how I got to know these guys, and I've done a little work with NASA. But there's a reason for this cover, and that's the one commonality among every astronaut that I've ever known is they come back from space. Even William Shatner, when he went up, right? Yeah. He came back and he was in tears. And he said the same thing that every astronaut I have ever met says. When you leave this planet and you look back at the Earth, you look at it with a different perspective. And that's what this is intended to represent, a perspective. That perspective doesn't see borders, it doesn't see wars or races or religions. It sees this beautiful planet with one human race on it. And then when they come back to Earth and they turn on a TV or they light up the internet, they get a fire hose of perception. The purpose of this book and the reason the future's in our hands is that it's the responsibility of each one of us to have perspective and to look at any problem, any situation, any opportunity, like education, from a different lens and not get bogged down into the fear that drives so much perception. I mean, so much, perception out there, which is ultimately what happens. Perception triggers fear, triggers anger, and that's the death of opportunity. Right, so for opportunity, we have to step back and take a different look at the world.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, and we're so happy and proud to be part of the story. Keep in touch. We're going to be following you. Thank you very much, Gianluca. Thank you, Jim. I'm David Cutler, and thank you for taking this impromptu journey around the block. See you next time.